Chat, Jim, just listening to you and Andrew a moment ago, doesn't sound like you see a whole lot of material to salvage this in the next 48 hours.
Well, I think that Walmart feels like it's given everything it can. I think that the people in the private equity have given everything. Oracle, difficult to tell whether they think they can do more, but they had really felt that when pre-Trump, that it was looking like it was 43% owned by U.S., 14% by international. Chinese owned 45. Post-Trump, they're talking about, look, U.S. owns 53, international owns 11, Chinese own 36. I think it's the Chinese owning 36 is the sticking point. David, what level do you think the president would allow this deal, or would it just be as long as there's Chinese, forget it?
I'm not sure, Jim. I think that's one of the key questions, and we don't know the answer. Listen, I stick with my reporting from yesterday, though, and I don't think there's anything in today's news from Commerce that indicates that it's not possible Trump will sign off on this transaction, right? I mean, it's still very possible he will come to the rescue.
Absolutely.
In fact, that is sort of the dramatic denouement that he likes, isn't it?
Exactly. We just need Walmart to say, you know what, Mr. President, you win. We'll do it, whatever that is.
Yeah, I mean,
and
but
then they get it.
But, Jim, they've got the deal on the table that they've offered. I think CFIUS, again, in my reporting here, is that they've more or less signed off on it, but that it needs the approval of the president, which is typical, at least when it comes to that. Now, by the way, what is completely atypical is the way that the U.S. government has gone about structuring a transaction. You know, if people wanted to take issue with that in the courts, they probably could. But separately, as to whether or not you get a deal, as we said yesterday, it could be within 24 to 36 hours that the president makes this decision. Jim, I don't see anything that necessarily indicates that's still not going to potentially be the case. You have to get this ready and tell people, I would assume, to be ready for TikTok app downloads not being allowed.
Yes.
And by the way, the WeChat stuff is actually more serious in many ways and is part of a company that is a $650 billion behemoth in China. And a lot of that stuff takes place as of the 20th in terms of WeChat.
That's a tough one because I regard that one as a much more difficult security risk if I were in the White House. David, they wanted to trumpet, and this is the let's call them the TikTok side. They wanted to trumpet that they have 25,000 new American jobs. I mean, you could see the president saying, you know what? You wanted 25, we want 35. They want all data and U.S. information stays in America. The president could say, I want you to have no contact with the Chinese. And you know what? There's a deal. Because what they could say is it's going to take us a little time, but we'll get there.
Right. Well, originally,
the big IPO.
Right.
How about the IPO was say
you've been talking about this, the idea that there would be an IPO. That essentially what you seem to be saying, Jim, is that ByteDance would sell out of its position over time.
Yes. In
the public markets, taking TikTok US, or maybe it's TikTok UK also, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. It's unclear whether they're all included or not. The Five Eyes, they call them. Taking that public and ByteDance no longer being a part of it. Meanwhile, I still don't know what the 20% that I've reported Oracle is willing to buy, what that's 20% of, how they're valuing this TikTok property. But to your point, that makes sense. I would remind people as well, the U.S. government was willing, at least at one point, to give Microsoft, for example, a year with the source code being updated from China before they had to take it over in full and make sure it had no Chinese influence or no Chinese engineers associated with it.
But, David, they're offering all TikTok source code, including the algorithms, will be under U.S. control. They're offering that.
Right.
Why isn't that enough for the president?
Well, maybe it will be.
No, he's not.
Well, all right, so you're telling me you know that that's not enough. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yes.
All right. So your reporting is that the deal, as has been proposed and potentially even signed off on by CFIUS, may not or is not enough for the president.
Yes, exactly.
Well, then that makes us view what we've seen today differently, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I think that Walmart's not done.
So you think this is designed to put pressure on the parties?
Indeed.
To get them to concede even more in some fashion.
Take it so that post-Trump order would be 60% U.S. An IPO that's not 12 months from now, but an IPO that's now. I mean, that they contact a banker and they do an IPO in 4 weeks. David, I think it's a deal if they do that. But I just can't see them willing to give in any more than they have.